Christmas is the perfect time to gather friends and family around a console to play multiplayer games. That's perhaps why in December 1999, Acclaim released Park Chefs Luv Shack, designed to cash in on the Christmas sales market and to add another South Park game to the market. With the poorly received original game, it was no surprise to me that Chefs Luv Shack was yet another game rushed to the market with little depth to the gameplay. This too was panned by critics and gamers alike, but is it really as bad as everyone says, or does it now hold up when viewed in context? Well, let's take a look. To start things off, it's quite easy to explain the core game. Essentially, you are taking part in a new South Park television game show hosted by none other than Chef, hence the game's catchy title. After choosing from one of the four boys and deciding to go it alone or with up to 3 other friends in a head-to-head, you are quickly whisked into the game. Taking the standard quiz show format, you're asked questions which are pulled from a pool of around 600 and some interestingly named categories. At the end of every round, you are thrust into a random minigame from a total choice of just over 20. The winner at the end of the game is the player with the most points, and in summary, that's about it. The game may sound fairly solid at this point, but breaking it down further reveals some big problems. Firstly, 600 questions may sound like a lot, but in reality it's only 400, as the other 200 or so are stored as bonus questions. What this means is that you'll very quickly exhaust the question pool and find yourself getting repeat questions, sometimes even in the same game. Secondly, the questions are very bizarre. And I don't just mean on South Park level bizarre, but they range from utterly ridiculous to insanely difficult. I can understand the questions being chosen to appeal to a wide range of gamers, but let's be honest, the standard South Park demographic of the time would be unlikely to know the year Worcestershire sauce was made. If the truly dreadful Wheel of Fortune on the N64 can muster up over 4,000 word puzzles, I can't see why more wasn't done to expand the question base here and also aim it more closely to the target audience. Questions aside, the most fun you'll have in the game comes in the form of the minigames. As with any minigame based game, the selection is a mixed bag. While some are clearly classic references to retro video games, others are shoddy and were clearly included and programmed with minimal effort by Acclaim. I found the selection of just over 20 to begin with to be very limited. When you consider that you'll play at least 2 even on the quickest game mode per play, then in a matter of hours you'll have already played them multiple times, so the novelty wears off quickly. As a tip however, if you play as Cartman you'll have access to a better range of minigames, as he will get to take part in one of my personal favourite minigames, Beefcake. Also, if you manage to eat all of the special cans you'll get a secret animation at the end of the game, so get practicing. Graphically, Park Chefs Luv Shack isn't a bad game. In a neat twist, Acclaim actually made the game high-res Java, which meant that you didn't need the expansion pack to play it in high-res. There's no surprise, as graphically the game is very similar to the cartoon in terms of style, and on occasions the frames of animation are actually lower than in the cartoon. It's not the prettiest game on the N64, but what it does do, it does quite well, even if the benchmark of graphics is set very low by the cartoon series. One area which totally confused me however is the sound. Despite the game being quite crap, it was often in the bargain basement bins of many game stores shortly after release, so I played it on most consoles. The thing that threw me was the fact that the sound on the N64 version is by far the best. Up against the Dreamcast and PlayStation versions, I expected them to wipe the floor as they could have CD quality sound. However, the N64 version is on par at least, and in some cases the quality is actually higher than that of its CD based counterparts. The only reason I can see this being the case is because the N64 version doesn't contain all the voice acted audio of the other versions. The game is packed with lots of dialogue by Chef and all the usual quippy one-liners from the boys and the other supporting characters, and these were all done by Matt Stone and Trey Parker. The actual music isn't the greatest, but it does have that cheesy game show feel, and the sound effects are all top notch, with the usual swearing and fart noises expected. Playing this game solo for this review reminded me of times gone by. The game is quite honestly terrible in single player, but then again it was designed to be played with friends. Back in the day this was a fun rental game for multiplayer, and whilst you wouldn't be playing it non-stop all weekend, it would however fill a few fun hours and give you some laughs along the way. It will become boring and it will become repetitive, but as far as quiz-based games go it's the best on the console, and if you want a real multiplayer minigame experience you'd be much better off getting your hands on any of the Mario Party games. As always though, it's now over to you. For me, Making a quiz game with the South Park license seems a bizarre choice given the fact that very few of the questions are actually related to the TV show. If you were making a South Park based game, what genre would you choose and why? Let me know your game ideas for the South Park license in the comments down below, and as always, until next time.